What's up, everybody? Welcome back in to another video of another interview or a snippet of an interview that gives us a little insight, information, some context to a defense that is probably going to play out in court for Courtney Clenney, the OnlyFans model who is the suspect and defendant charged in the death of her boyfriend, Christian Obumseli. We've heard about the civil case. We've heard about the criminal case. We know that her defense is going to be one of self-defense. We know in Florida, you have to prove that you were reasonably in fear for your life or serious bodily injury and you responded appropriately. And the action and defense and physical nature in which you responded was reasonable for the threat that you were feeling as a person. And we know the media, the lawyers, the jurors, everybody's going to look at the two parties, the victim and the defendant, and a lot of judgment calls are going to be made just off the way that they look. And in case you weren't sure if that was going to be how the trial played out, we are going to hear some of that from Courtney Clenney's parents. We're going to hear more context, more information about things maybe we didn't know, but none of which should really be surprising. Now, this is coming from TMZ's Twitter page, and I think the full interview was on somewhere else. But what's interesting to me about all of it is I believe this is before they were arrested. So we know that they were arrested later, dealing with the computer, trying to access Christian Obumseli's computer, maybe some computer crimes or something like that the defense says doesn't fit. I'm pretty sure this was before that. Not positive, but I'm pretty sure this interview and these statements were before they were arrested. They don't talk at all about their case in just these 2 minutes. They focus on Courtney Clenney's case and her defense. So let me know what you think in the comments as we roll through. Don't forget to hit that like button and please subscribe to our page. We are continuing the growth of getting more voices, more opinions, more people involved in the channel, letting us know what they want to hear and what they think about the content. So thank you for being here. Let's jump in to this interview.
These parents who have never spoken publicly until now tell us some of that evidence shows their daughter definitely has a nasty side.
Well, I mean, it got worse when she drank. When she was drinking, she could be a lot more temperamental.
But they stand firmly behind Courtney's claim. She killed Christian in self-defense. They insist the abuse was a two-way street.
To me, this is not going to be something that's far-fetched. My guess is there are going to be other witnesses for the defense, like Courtney Clenney's friends, that are going to come in, and there's going to be questions of bias on cross-examination by the state, as there should be. You're her friend. You would do anything to help her. Isn't this true? Maybe some text messages between them might be produced. But I can almost guarantee you there are going to be witnesses for the defense that come up and say Christian Obumseli was either verbally or physically or both abusive to Courtney Clenney. It was a two-way street. It was a toxic relationship. It could have exploded at any point. It's unfortunate that this is the way it exploded, but she was in fear of her life and protecting herself, and that's why it ended the way that it did. Can almost guarantee there's going to be some testimony about that. But what will her parents say? Because this is a little preview of that.
I do think it may have been mutually physical, but you have to remember that he weighed, what, 230 pounds? And she weighed 150.
So first off, she says it may have been mutually physically abusive. We know that there was at least one way on this street from Courtney to Christian that it was physically abusive. We know that. There's video evidence of that. And she, her mom, a witness that obviously wants to help her daughter, says it may have been two-way. I thought that was interesting. And then first mention about how these parties look. She's 150 pounds. He's 230 pounds. They show him big, muscular guy on the beach with his shirt off. And just wait, she's going to talk more about his physique later because that's going to be a big part of this case. And it's going to be something the jury has to figure out and apply because it does matter, right? If a 100-pound female is trying to slap me in the face, that's very different than if Shaquille O'Neal is trying to punch me in the face, right? Huge, big hands. One of those punches could probably take me out. A slap from a 100-pound, 15-year-old girl, probably not going to take me out. So my fear of what the bodily injury is and fear of my life could be different depending on the size and physical abilities of the victim if I'm claiming self-defense. Not everything, and I think sometimes you can claim that, even a slap to the face from a young girl, or if she threw something at you or whatever, it could put you in reasonable fear. So there are some arguments there, but generally speaking, that's going to be part of this discussion because of the difference in the physical nature of the two parties.
Did she ever tell you she feared he would kill her?
Yes, he almost did a couple weeks before that.
So she has a reasonable fear based on prior instances that he would take it that far. And if that's true and they can prove that, that's going to come into her head. And they're going to try to say, because of those prior instances, she was reasonably in fear for her life, not just serious bodily injury, but for her life because of what happened before. Could be something similar to what Sarah Boone's arguing, the battered spouse syndrome type of thing.
She said that she was passing out. He was strangling her. And she said that it was going through her mind, oh my gosh, my mom's going to have to play my funeral.
But what about that elevator video showing Courtney wailing on Christian?
So what's interesting about what TMZ is doing, and knowing this because I just fully prepped for a trial that's now not going. Hopefully you watched one of the other videos where I explained what happened. I know most people watching the channel don't care. But when you prepare jury selection, opening statements, what the other side's going to argue. So you deal with, in my case, the defense's argument, or in this case, the defense is going to deal with the state's argument, and they know that a major piece of evidence for the state is going to be this video. So how do they deal with that? How do they explain it? And kudos to TMZ for asking the right questions, because this is a tough question for the defense, but we're going to start to hear exactly how they're going to explain away this video and maybe some others, right? Some of the other videos we heard mutual abuse, both of them were bad. He was bigger and stronger. She was in fear for her life. But how are they going to explain this video?
Plenty say it doesn't tell the real story.
What is not obvious, that elevator went directly to her landing to go into her apartment. And so you can see how desperate she is for him not to follow her. She's trying to push him off the elevator because she doesn't want him to come in. And you can see he's like a rock.
So two things there. I'm going to back it up just a little bit. But the landing goes right to her apartment, and she was acting reasonably because she did not want him to come in to the elevator, because then it would go to the landing of her apartment. And she was trying to do the right thing. Maybe they were drinking, maybe they had gotten in a fight, whatever. She was trying to separate, which most people can appreciate and think is the right thing to do if things start to get toxic or explosive. That's what Courtney Clenney was trying to do, and he wouldn't let her. So yes, she was hitting him because she was trying to prevent the bigger fight, the more explosive fight. That's going to be how they're going to explain this. They're probably going to say she was in fear for her life here too. But then another mention of the difference in their physical nature.
Trying to push him off the elevator because she doesn't want him to come in. And you can see he's like a rock, her trying to push him out. And she can't push him out. So
she can't really do much. He's not in fear because physically she's so small and he's a rock and she can't move him and she can push him. These are going to be the types of arguments made. And these are going to be the questions in the juror's mind, which is why I want to know, as you watch this, is any of this resonating with you? Mutually abusive. She was in fear for her life. It's very different because of their physical stature. This video is not her being abusive. It's her trying to protect herself. And it proves that she just can't protect herself. So when it gets to a certain point, there's nothing she can do, which is maybe why a knife got involved. It's the only way she could stop him from hurting her. I think those are the arguments the defense is trying to set up here. And this 2-minute interview really sheds a lot of light on how they're going to present it.
I think the people who've shown that video do tend to cut out the part where he has her in a headlock. He was swatting her off like a fly.
So that's interesting. I don't remember seeing...
he has her in a headlock.
I don't remember seeing her in a headlock in some of the other versions of this video. Maybe you guys do. But pretty easy explanation from the state, in my opinion, that she's beating him over the head. He's protecting himself by holding her down. Like, I don't know. But here's the point, though. Here's the point. And I will tell you, from jury selection that exploded on me while I was doing jury selection this week. You never know what a jury's going to think. You never know what's going to make a jury react. And maybe this will be enough for a jury to think, well, this happened to me one time, and when my boyfriend put me in a headlock, it was abuse. And so that must be what this is. So any little thing the defense has, including this, you better believe the defense is going to show it, blow it up, make a big deal about it, ask questions about it, and rightfully so if there is, evidence of mutual abuse. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But I don't remember seeing this part of him putting her in the headlock. Maybe we did. So maybe there are going to be little tidbits of context that they can add to some of the really bad evidence that looks bad for Courtney Clenney at this point.
He was swatting her off like a fly. He wasn't being harmed.
And so, I do think, obviously, that he's much bigger and stronger than her, right? But when you introduce weapons, that kind of changes the playing field. And it's really going to come down to what can Courtney Clenney prove he was doing at that moment to make her react that way, and was the way she reacted appropriate and reasonable based on her fear and based on what Christian Obumseli was doing. And if all the testimony is he said nasty things to her all the time, he was so mean to her, he was toxic, but he never touched her. Somebody calling you horrible names, shaming you, whatever, is not going to put you in fear for your life or serious bodily injury in a position to respond the way that Courtney Clenney responded in this case. That's just not going to happen. There has to be some physical nature, some way that he struck fear into her physically in order for her to reasonably respond the way that she did, which I think is going to be a tough argument, but I do think we're seeing there's more stuff we don't know. There's more context to be added, and there will be a defense. There will be witnesses. There will be text messages. There will be pictures. There'll be videos. There will be a story told by the defense. I think we've known that from the jump, but this starts to shed a little light on it with them responding in the media to a lot of the negative media attention that's already come Courtney Clenney's way. So let me know what you think as a potential juror. How would this stuff start to sway you if there was witness testimony of this? Little clips of the videos maybe we haven't seen that show some mutual physical interaction. I'm interested to hear what you guys think as potential jurors, because that's how I learned so much. And I appreciate you guys joining me. Hit that like button on the way out, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching another episode of The Lawyer You Know. If you enjoyed the episode, please hit the thumbs up and share with your friends who may be interested here on YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. And don't forget to check out the Lawyer You Know podcast with new seasons dropping every quarter. If you have a pase you want to talk to us about, if it's a personal injury case, wrongful death, catastrophic injury, car accident, or slip and fall case, please email us at lawyeryouknow@gmail.com. And of course, all these links I just mentioned are included in the description below on this episode and every episode. So until next time, this is Peter Tragos, The Lawyer You Know.